There's much to talk about. Let's get to our panel. Joining us from Seattle, Washington is the co-founder of AutoAdvisor.com, Ashley Knapp. The car coach, Lauren Fix, joins us from Mountain View, California via Skype. She's an automotive analyst and the founder and president of Automotive Aspects, an independent consulting firm. With us from Ann Arbor is Bruce Belzowski. He's the managing director of the University of Michigan's Automotive Futures Group. And Michael Coates is the editor and publisher of the Clean Fleet Report. He joins us from San Francisco. Thank you to all of you for joining us. Michael, let me start with you. These are exciting times. We're sitting on the cusp of a major revolution in the auto industry, the shift from gas and diesel vehicles to electric cars. Here's the question. Hope you don't mind the pun. What's driving this change?
Well, that's actually a good question, Anand. What we see here in Silicon Valley and along the coast of California is consumers are driving it. They're looking for new cars, electric cars, autonomous cars, and it's a real phenomena here in this area. However, I would caution people extrapolating from that, because you drive a couple hours east of here and you'll be hard-pressed to find an electric car.
Bruce, Michael makes a great point there. The market for electric cars is very small at the moment. Battery-powered cars make up only 1% of sales in the United States, Europe, and China. That was last year. So does it make business sense? At what point are we going to see a tipping point where these things become more profitable?
Well, profit is one of the big issues that we're looking at here. And you see some of the manufacturers taking the lead, in particular Tesla. And some of the other manufacturers also have some entries into the electric vehicle space. But when you see a lot of the manufacturers are really holding back. They seem to be doing, it's kind of a chicken and egg story. They feel that the cost of the vehicles they won't be able to recoup the amount that they're putting in the product development, that the sales are not there, and therefore they're holding back. So this is something that we're seeing in the Detroit area, where the manufacturers are making some efforts, and some of them are making stronger efforts than others, but it's not a across-the-board thing.
Well, you know, automakers worldwide are just beginning to learn how to live in the electric vehicle economy. And they've got a real problem on their hands, because they've got to get rid of this petroleum economy. So they've got a problem, and that's why they're going so slow. As soon as the world realizes the benefits of electric cars, they're going to run towards electric cars in droves to save time and money. Electric cars cost way less to make, produce, and operate than gasoline cars. Automakers aren't ready for it.
Go ahead, Lauren.
You're a friend of mine, but I totally disagree with you, because I'm telling you right now, those electric cars are powered by something. And unless we have nuclear power, we are using coal plants. And we don't have enough power right now to support that. I live on the East Coast, and I will tell you, if you've ever been in a brownout, you know that that power grid cannot support everyone. And if you think, oh, everyone's going to charge at night, I'm telling you, it doesn't happen. It's the same thing that happens with our phones. The first thing you do when you look at it and you go, oh my gosh, I got 10%. I got to plug in. You don't care if it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 o'clock in the morning. Problem is, people are not going to follow that. Just the same problem they have with water. Electricity is powered, believe it or not, by coal. And there's not enough wind and solar when it's less than 2% of what we're taking in right now. And if every single house in America decided to put on solar panels, that would still wouldn't be enough power.
Henry Ford didn't wait for infrastructure.
Okay, actually, I want to get back to the technology of these electric cars right now. In terms of technology, what are the biggest challenges that the industry faces? Is it the battery? Is it the lack of chargers, the availability of chargers, I should say? Is it the range of these cars? What's the big challenge?
And the big challenge is the fact that they've spent decades trying to make us believe in the gasoline car is the king, not the electric car. So what they really got to overcome is public demand. Electric cars are simple and easy to build, and everybody can get there fast. They're just scared. They don't know how to handle the economy. They're not going to need the repair parts in the service department, and the waiting rooms will be smaller. All the laws and the dealer structure is designed for petroleum products. This is part of why Tesla is having so much trouble. They want a different dealer concept. They want a different way their cars are serviced. These are electric car demands. They're completely different from the petroleum demand.
Okay, Lauren, notwithstanding the fact or the points that you just made about the source of energy, where the energy comes from, whether it's gas-driven or whether it's electric-driven,
Right.
are people going to make the switch? You know, consumers are a creature of habit. What's going to convince them to make this switch?
Well, I think the part of it is education, but I'll tell you right now, besides the fact that the reason these cars are selling is not because people are clamoring them for them, because they're already tethered to cords. The reason that they're selling is because of government subsidies. If you make more than $250,000 a year, you're very likely to own a Tesla. And that's great if you live in Palo Alto, where that's probably the average salary. But for the bulk of the country, it isn't. And most of us can't afford an electric vehicle. And the subsidy, that's $7,500, once you remove it, you watch big impact. For example, the country of Denmark decided, we've got enough electric cars, we're going to stop our government subsidies. And sales dropped by 60%. Followed by the state of Georgia, who said, we're no longer going to have our subsidies, and their sales for electric cars dropped by 90%. So this is a subsidy-driven situation. Besides the fact that these batteries have cobalt, cadmium, lithium, and all kinds of other hazardous materials that we don't even mine here. They're mined in the Congo and in China, where they don't mind using child labor. And this is pretty sad because you look at the carbon footprint to produce a battery-powered vehicle, and you realize it's substantially more, along with what are you going to do with the batteries when they're gone? No solution. You're not going to put it in the water. Big environmental impact. And on the backside of that, there still are moving parts, so cars still are going to need bushings, bearings, and belts and tires. All that's still going to happen. Repair shops aren't going out of business.
So, Lauren, given all those issues that you've raised, are you saying we should stay with gas-driven cars?
I think it should be a mixture, and people should have a choice. If you look at diesel, which I know in one of your other columnists that's here on the show today, he also said that diesels are something to consider. And a matter of fact, that BMW and Mercedes said, we're not backing down. This is one of the many solutions. And the fact that they're clean diesel, that's the ones that are clean diesel, which Jaguar, Land Rover, and General Motors are producing.
Okay, let me go to Michael. Michael, Lauren raises the point about how we generate energy, where we get our energy from. And to what extent is this debate over climate change influencing public opinion on electric vehicles? Are people getting to the point now where they think, well, I think we've got to move to electric vehicles because we need to save the planet?
Well, I think there's an ongoing move from consumers to look for good fuel efficiency. In spite of our relatively low gas prices, consumers are still, they're aware of the price spikes that we've seen in the past. So I think there's a great appetite to find an alternative. And as Lauren said, I think there may be a lot of different options. I mean, Mazda is just about to introduce a new engine that combines gasoline and diesel technology that promises great fuel efficiency. We've got 48-volt mild hybrids coming that are going to be roughly the same price as a pure gasoline vehicle, but offer twice the fuel economy. So there's going to be a lot of challenges. Pure electric cars are going to be a big part of the mix, but they're certainly not, it's going to be decades before they dominate.
Right.
Let me make this clear. I think I know electric battery-powered cars are absolutely perfected. There's no question about it. Even with a lead-acid battery, they can do the job that most people need during the day. So even if all of us on this panel were 100% pro-electric, the public would not run and buy this product right away. And the beauty of an all-electric car is we can decide to power it by nuclear, by solar, by wind, by hydroelectric. Our society can choose the power base of that electric car. As for fuel cells, there's some kind of baloney right now. Fuel cells are perfected, but absolutely unnecessary in our battery economy now.
Okay, Bruce, let's look at the development of electric cars outside of the United States. Let's take a country like China. China's invested billions of dollars to become one of the leading manufacturers of batteries in that country. Where does China feature in this development?
Well, we've been doing a lot of research on the Chinese electric vehicle industry, and it's a fascinating one. They have many more startups, companies that are looking at developing electric vehicles than we have here in the U.S. and also in the EU. They have a very good system now for incentives and they have some very good ways of adjusting when they, in particular, inside of the major cities, the Shanghais, the Beijings, they have rules that won't allow people to drive into the city sometimes if they don't have certain types of license plates. I think they have that in London as well. But in particular, you can get a license plate in Shanghai and Beijing. You can go to the front of the line if you have an electric vehicle. Now, in China, it's PHEVs, plug-in hybrids, and in some cases, regular hybrids besides electric vehicles. So that's something that makes it a little different from some of the other areas. But they have a really strong program. They continue to tweak it. Sometimes I consider the Chinese government as being and when they deal with the auto industry, as kind of a continuous improvement project. They had some mistakes they made in the past. They've tried to correct them, and they're going forward with some very good strategies for developing and getting more companies that are capable of developing these types of vehicles into the mix.
Actually, the other big revolution in automobiles is the driverless car, the autonomous vehicle, as it's sometimes referred to. Some analysts say they could be ubiquitous. We could see many of these cars by 2030. McKinsey, the consultancy, says 15% of new cars will be autonomous by 2030. What do you think?
Well, I think a lot of cars are going to have autonomous ability across the board. The majority of those cars and trucks and buses, those are going to be electric powered, is what's going to be the majority of these automated cars. What's so interesting is, again, this is going to damage the dealer network. There'll be less need of crash parts. There'll be less need of these repairs of all cars. And then you won't have to own a car. So these autonomous cars are actually not only going to turn the dealer network and the automakers on their heads because of the lack of need of service, but also they're going to challenge public transportation. Buses, subways will be challenged again. Public transportation will be by all these private vehicles. So cities have got to get their handle on the Ubers, on the automated Ubers, on the automated lifts, on all these vehicles so that they don't have them flooding the streets, because it'll be easy and economical to have them cruise for passengers, and we will less buy the passenger car. Car sales are going down. The youth of America and the world is less interested in a private automobile. They want to get around electronically at the speed of light.
Okay, lots more to talk about, Lauren. I will get your response to what Ashley was saying, but I've got to take a break right now. More of our conversation when we return. Stay with us. You're watching The Heat.